It's day one of Computex 2026. The main exhibition has kicked off today. Today we've been to visit Gigabyte's booth to check out all of their latest monitor news. It was super busy and very loud, so we've come back to the hotel to record this bit to camera where it's a bit more peaceful. But obviously there's loads of footage and coverage from the main floor to show you today. We'll tell you all about their brand new AORUS Elite series monitors. They've got loads of new OLED models available and a 5K Mini LED monitor that I know you're going to want to hear about. We'll tell you about the features and capabilities of this new series, what it's offering you, and go through all of those new models that have been announced for Computex this year. So let's go and check all of those out right now. Because we always seem to start with OLED, let's start for once with an LCD. So one of the key models in the new range is a brand new 5K dual mode Mini LED monitor. So this model offers a 27-inch screen size, 5K native resolution and 180Hz refresh rate. It offers triple mode support as well, allowing you to drop down to not only 1440p resolution at 330Hz, as you might expect from some of these recent 5K dual mode monitors, but also allows you to drop down to 4K resolution at 220Hz if you want to do that as well. So you've got triple mode support from this screen too. One of the key features of this screen though is its 2304 local dimming zone mini LED backlight. So that offers really high-end HDR capabilities and performance. It's got VESA Display HDR 1000 certification and a peak brightness of 1250 nits. This screen is using the same BOE panel as LG's equivalent model, so it's got that zero optical distance that you might have heard talked about from LG's screen, which helps improve the dimming and avoid halos and blooming. What's different though to LG's model is that Gigabyte has got a glossy screen coating, which I know a lot of people are really interested in. So now for all of those glossy fans out there, you've got a 5K Mini LED monitor with a glossy screen coming at some point soon. We'll tell you a bit more about the AORUS Elite series in a minute, some of the new features, particularly on the OLED side of things, but this 5K Mini LED screen also forms part of that range, so it's got the new design aesthetic that you'll see across all of their new models. A sharper and cleaner design. It looks really nice, we thought, and not too gamery, fairly simplistic in design, but it looks sleek and smart. You've got a couple of choices here depending on how you want to use the screen. Obviously, the native mode gives you a 5K resolution on a 27-inch size screen, giving you a 218 ppi pixel density, which gives you what Apple would call a Retina class resolution. So a super sharp image for office and general applications and productivity work, highly detailed work, or for highly detailed gaming, of course, if you want to. The 5K mode runs up to 180Hz maximum refresh rate, a small overclock from the panel's native 165Hz. The other primary use case would be to drop down to 1440p resolution, which runs at 330Hz, giving you a still pretty decent resolution on a 27-inch size screen. You know, that's a normal resolution on this size, but giving you a big boost in the refresh rate for gaming situations if you need it. The whole AORUS Elite range has got similar connectivity. So you've got DisplayPort 2.1 on this model with UHBR 20 tier speeds, so maximum bandwidth, as well as HDMI 2.1 with an eARC sound support on one of the inputs as well, which is a pretty rare feature in the monitor market, and it's nice to see that being added to this new range as an additional feature for sound throughput. Gigabyte tell us that this model should be available towards the end of Q4, and it's set to retail at $999 US, so just under $1,000, which should be a pretty decent price point for these 5K dual mode monitors, particularly those that have got a mini LED backlight. We'll tell you about some of the other new features that span across the AORUS Elite range in a moment when we talk about the OLEDs, but that's the 5K mini LED, so 27-inch, 5K native, triple mode support, glossy screen coating and a 2304 zone mini LED backlight. It looks really smart. We're really looking forward to testing that one, hopefully later towards the end of the year. Next up, let's move over to the OLED part of the AORUS Elite range, and there's quite a few new models that are being launched this year. The most interesting model for us is the brand new 32-inch 4K Tandem WOLED monitor. So this has got a 4K native resolution, 240Hz native refresh rate, and a dual mode function that supports 480Hz at 1080p. Now, Gigabyte have actually got two versions of this screen available. The top-end GP model has got a couple of additional features compared with the G model. The main thing being it's got DisplayPort 2.1 connectivity with full UHBR 20 speeds, and it's got Gigabyte's new AI features. So there's an AI upscaling feature that can upscale lower resolution content back to 4K. There's AI sound and there's AI scene optimization. So a range of AI upscaling type features are available on the P model, but they're not available on the standard model. That model is expected to retail for around $100 more than the standard version, so you'll have to decide if you want any of those additional features. If so, then there's at least a choice between the regular and the P version here. Both of these screens use a brand new 32-inch 4K Tandem WOLED panel from LG Display. Now, you might have seen a bit of news about a couple of different versions of this panel recently. Gigabyte have opted to use the standard RGWB version of this screen, so with the included white subpixel, rather than the RGB stripe that you'll see from some other screens. That means that it's got the higher brightness capability of this panel, so we're talking about a 1500 nits peak brightness and Display HDR 500 True Black certification, so a brighter overall HDR experience. It should also offer a 335 nits full screen white or 335 nits for SDR as well. So this is the brighter version of the panel with the existing white subpixel kept in the design. That same panel is used across both of Gigabyte's new 32-inch models, whether it's the G or the GP version. The only difference is the connectivity and those AI features that I talked about earlier. Gigabyte have opted to use a glossy finish for their new 32-inch panels. In fact, they've used a glossy finish across all of their new WOLED screens, so that's consistent across the whole range. Gigabyte call it real black glossy. It provides a really super sharp and clear image. So you've got the glossy 5K Mini LED that we talked about earlier, and a range of glossy WOLED monitors as well to choose from. These two have also got HDMI 2.1 connectivity with eARC sound. Gigabyte tell us that the standard version, the G model, is due to be released around August-September time at a price of $849 US, whereas the P model with the additional features and the DP 2.1 is coming a little bit later, probably in late Q4 at $949 US. So $100 difference between the two models and a little bit of a wait for the P model coming a little bit later on. We should tell you a little bit about the new AORUS Elite series as well. There's quite a few new features here across the range, including the new design that we showed you and talked about a little bit earlier. This whole range is all about bringing additional features and capabilities to the market to give you even more for your money. There's a new software package which includes a load of tactical gaming features. One of the new features that we saw in action was the tactical HUD or head-up display, which allows you to select a certain part of the screen and move that part of the image elsewhere on the screen. So if you want to move the position of a map or a feature in one of your games somewhere else, then you've actually got the option to do that using this software and the tactical HUD. So that looks quite an interesting new feature. There's other ones that are available in the software that we'll have to have a look at a little bit later on in another feature, but those new capabilities are available across the new AORUS Elite range. Another new design change with this series is that Gigabyte have shifted to a heat pipe cooling system, which helps dissipate the heat more evenly across the panel, and that in turn can help reduce the risks of image retention and burn-in over time. So that's particularly important and useful, of course, across the new OLED monitors. It still remains a fanless design, importantly, so it's still completely silent, but the new heat pipe cooling and heat sinks that have been put into the screens should really help with that heat dissipation over time. And this is going to be particularly important as we move forward into newer models in the range, as brightness starts to be increased on these new panels like we're seeing at the moment. So we've already seen quite a few True Black 500 certified screens released, and now we're starting to see the first of the True Black 600s. So as brightness increases, so too does heat output. So having a more optimized and efficient cooling system will really help this range in the long term. So we look forward to seeing more models and higher brightness panels coming from Gigabyte later on as well. They've also added a new OLED care sensor into the screen that's positioned in a small section on the bottom of the screen, and that includes an intelligence sensor that's capable of doing quite a few different things. So it can turn the screen off when you move away and then back on when you return via a feature that they're calling auto lock. And it can also do things like adjust your screen brightness and color temperature dynamically depending on your ambient light source, a feature that they're calling adaptive light. So it's a new sensor that's featured across all of their OLED screens, which should help with image retention mitigation and burn-in protection over time. So nice to see that being added by Gigabyte for this new range as well. With this being added, Gigabyte are also extending their warranty support for a couple of the models, not all of them, but two of the 27-inch models that we'll talk about in a moment. They're shifting from a 3-year warranty, which is standard across all of their OLED range to a 4-year warranty, and that includes burn-in cover as the 3-year warranty did. So you've got a 4-year warranty thanks to the inclusion of that new care sensor on 2 of the screens. So the AORUS Elite range has got a new design, the new cooling heat pipes, the new care sensor, loads of new software features and tactical gaming features, and some improved connectivity like HDMI 2.1 with eARC sound, for instance. So a good range of new features, and it's nice to see these being added to across the new range for sure. Let's talk about some of their new 27-inch OLED monitors as well. First up is a new 27-inch 1440p 540Hz native Tandem WOLED monitor. So this is a familiar panel that we've seen from a few manufacturers so far. Gigabyte are now adopting it as part of this new range. It's got a 540Hz native refresh rate and the ability to boost that even further to 720Hz if you drop down to a lower 720p resolution. So that might be useful for some people in certain niche gaming situations. As we said earlier, Gigabyte are using a glossy WOLED panel here as well, part of their Real Black Glossy series. So it provides a really nice, clean and clear image, super sharp image, and it looks really nice. This 540Hz model has a lower spec DP2.1 connectivity. It's only UHBR 13.5, so 54 gigabits per second maximum. It's got HDMI 2.1 again with eARC sound though, and all of the new AORUS Elite series features that we talked about a little bit earlier. One other thing to mention on this model and on the 28G that we'll talk about in a moment is that they've also added a new option in the on-screen menu in the APL stabilize section for a setting called Ultra, which is designed to boost the HDR brightness for a 10% window higher than it is right now. So that's a new setting that we're seeing on 2 of those new screens. It's not going to be available on the others, and we're told there's no plans to roll it out onto some of their other existing screens at this time, although it is still being tested and verified. But this is a new feature that should help to boost brightness even more in certain scenes on a couple of those new screens. So that's a really nice feature to see added as well. They've also got an Elite series version of their very popular MO27Q28GR. That's the glossy version of the MO27Q28G, obviously. They've got an Elite series version of that as well. So that's got a 27-inch screen, 1440p resolution, 280Hz refresh rate, glossy screen coating again. But this time it's got all of those new features from the Elite series. This is actually one of the 2 models that's got that 4-year warranty that I talked about earlier, thanks to the inclusion of their OLED care sensor. So it's got the OLED care sensor, the heat pipes, the tactical gaming features, the new design, HDMI 2.1 with eARC sound. So a range of new features compared with the MO model that we've seen and tested in the past. That's going to be available as part of the Elite series now. This one's going to be available though at a competitive price point of $549 and it'll be released in July, we're told. So a similar price point to the MO model before, but with a range of new features and extras that are definitely worth looking at. Last up is an Elite series version of the Go27Q24G that we actually reviewed very recently on our main website. So check that out in the link in the description below if you want to know more about it. But this is an Elite series version of that screen. So it's 27-inch 1440p with a 240Hz refresh rate. This uses an older gen WOLED panel. It's not a tandem WOLED like the 28G model that we just talked about. It's using an older gen with MLA+, but it's available at a very competitive price point, just like the Geo model is right now. The Geo model is actually available for $399 at the moment, which is a very good price for an entry-level OLED screen, particularly with this kind of spec. This one's going to retail for slightly higher at $449, and it's due to be relaunched in July as well. So there you go, that's the new AORUS Elite series screen. You've got a really nice looking 5K dual mode Mini LED monitor with a glossy screen coating. That's going to be really popular, I'm sure. You've also got a load of new OLED screens, a couple of refreshes of some of their really popular existing models, but the addition of their new 32-inch tandem WOLEDs that look really great, and a new 27-inch 540Hz model that's entering their range as well at this point. So a great range of new screens from Gigabyte at Computex 2026. You'll be able to find more information on all of these screens on our website in the near future as well, where we'll do a roundup and we'll talk more about some of the detailed specs and that kind of stuff. If you want to stay up to date on all of the news coming out of Computex 2026, don't forget to check out our tracker on our website that's linked in the description below. And please don't forget to hit subscribe to stay up to date on all of the videos and coverage that we're producing right now. If you've enjoyed this, give us a quick like below, that would be really appreciated. But otherwise, thank you for watching this one. We'll catch you next time.